Hello everyone, it's Sean from TaekwondoSean.com, and today we're going over meditation, why we do it, and how we do it in a martial arts way. Check it out. So let's go over a few key concepts when you're sitting down. You can sit on your knees, or you can sit crisscross Taekwondo sauce. I'm not sure how the sauce tastes, but I know it's got a kick. The main thing is your back has to be straight, but not straight like arching your back. You want to make sure that your core is engaged and your chin is up, shoulders are back, and then you know you're sitting nicely. You can put your fists on your knees. Now from here, you want to breathe in using your diaphragm. Diaphragm goes out, and you're trying not to let the chest move until the diaphragm has fully distended, and then the chest can move a little bit, and then push the air out using the diaphragm, and then after the diaphragm is fully opposite of distended, the chest can slightly move in. Okay, and then out, and back in. Breathe in, and out. So you're actually trying not to let your chest move at all, if you can. Now the reason you want your chin up is because if you've ever taken first aid, you know that when you put your chin up, it actually opens up your airway fully so that you can receive that rescue breath when someone's giving you CPR. And also when you're meditating, you're allowed, the air flows the most freely. It's less constricted. There's no bottleneck, right? Next up, there's a couple of styles to how we're sitting when we meditate. So when we're doing certain martial arts, like in Taekwondo, it's very militarized, very like standing straight, right? Our chariot stance, our feet are together, and we're standing tall, stick as a earth, straight as a board. But in other martial arts, it's a little more relaxed, so they can open their legs a little bit. Their chariot stance, their attention stance, their feet are actually open like this, like in karate. So you want to make sure that you have to cater to your own style. So if we're in Taekwondo class, let's say, we want to make sure our practitioners have our knees together like this, so it's nice and clean. Our hands are on our knees like this, shoulders up, back, and down, chin slightly up, and then we're going to breathe in through our nose, using our diaphragm, and then breathe out through our mouth. Now again, you can put your hand on your chest, just to make sure it's not moving. But once you've practiced that enough, you want your hands on your knees like this, because the main concept of meditation is like a glass of muddy water, right? So if the glass is not moving, all the mud settles at the bottom and the water becomes clear. And we want the same thing for your mind, right? We can't really focus on your mind 100% if your body's moving around and we got like the itchy body, right? Like the 4-year-olds. Now, while you're meditating, your mind is going to be wanting to jump around, right? Like, I'm sure everyone has a monkey brain at some point where it's just, whoa, look at that. Whoa, I'm thinking about this now. Whoa, what about that? How about this? And so we have to not try to strangle the monkey, not try to make the monkey sit down. That's not going to work. If you've ever taught children, it never works. You want to imagine while you're meditating that you're almost like sitting on the grass right beside a highway, and the highway has the cars going both ways, and then your thoughts are like those cars, right? So you have tons of thoughts every second and tons of things to think about, and your brain's like, whoa, look at all this stuff. Now, like we said, you're not trying to control the monkey in your brain. You're not trying to jump in the middle of the highway, everyone stop. It's going to be a mess, right? So instead, we want to be less forceful and more acknowledging and then letting it pass. So we're sitting there, we see the shiny red car pass by. Wow, nice red car. And then we let it pass, and we forget about it. So we acknowledge our feelings, we acknowledge the thoughts, and then we let it pass. The 5-year-old is upset. Oh, I couldn't do something today in class. Oh, it sounds like you're really upset. Yeah. Okay, let's come back to Taekwondo now. Okay. Right? Acknowledging has such power. And then back to meditating now, you want to acknowledge the thought and then let it pass. Don't try to chase the rabbit. Don't try to say, I'm not thinking about that, I'm not thinking about that. Because of course, the more you try not to do something, the more likely it is to happen. Now, if we have knee injuries, like I know some of us are a little bit older when we practice. Taekwondo is a lifelong endeavor, so is every martial art. But we want to make sure that we're able to meditate without that uncomfortable feeling in our knees or our feet or hips. So if you guys have to sit crisscross, Taekwondo sauce, you guys can. But remember, keep that back straight, but not arched. Shoulders up, back, and down. Chin slightly up, so you're opening the airway. And then you breathe in using the diaphragm. Breathe out using the diaphragm. When you're meditating, it's actually really good exercise for your lumbar muscle and your core muscles here, because sitting straight allows that muscle to really engage properly. And I'm going to tell you right now, after about 4 or 5 minutes, you're going to start to get sore. You're going to start to get tired, right? And that's the reason that martial arts was invented, at least allegedly. They say that there were monks in a temple somewhere on a hill, and they couldn't meditate, right? They couldn't meditate for 8 hours, 12 hours a day, and so they had to do some kind of exercise, some kind of strengthening, so that they were able to sit there and meditate in a proper stance for a long time. So what did they do? They invented martial arts, right? So through doing martial arts, they were able to strengthen their body, and that allowed them to engage their cores and their lower back the entire time while they're sitting there, having good posture. Now, practitioners ask, why do we meditate at the beginning of class and the end of class? And the reason is simple. You don't want to be busy in the mind when you're about to do martial arts, aka sparring with each other, doing self-defense situations, punching each other, kicking each other, holding pads for each other, right? So we're doing all these techniques that are potentially dangerous, and imagine you're thinking about something else the whole time. Imagine you're distracted by something else that happened during your day, right? So you want to make sure that before you start your martial arts class, you're meditating and working really hard to clear that highway, right? You're sitting on the grass, you're watching the highway with all the cars, which are your thoughts and feelings, and you want to try and acknowledge them and let them pass so that eventually there becomes less and less and less cars, right? Because as we know, when we're trying to do something, the busier, the more traffic there is on that highway, the slower everything happens, right? So do you want to learn a new technique? Do you want to internalize a new thing that your Sabomnim taught you? Of course. Now the easiest way to do that is to center yourself, get yourself in the present moment, clear that highway at the beginning of the class, and then when you're done in the class, maybe it was a good class, a bad class, it doesn't matter. You can clear your mind, clear the highway with a little bit of meditation at the end as well, and then we get to go home and enjoy the rest of our evening, and that's how we do it at our dojo. We meditate at the beginning and the end just for that reason, to help center ourselves and get our minds prepared for what's about to happen. Train hard, and we'll see you on the mats.